Was Clue the first person that you met on a musical path where y'all were creating together, or was somebody that you in a group before?
No, Clue was the first person, and it's interesting, right? Because when we met, I was dabbling with, I had like a SK1, the Casio keyboard.
Yep.
And I wasn't really telling people that like I was like messing with music. I was just kind of doing it. And even the older guys that I knew were making music, I wouldn't show them either because they were way more advanced. It's like, it's almost like, like Nas when he was writing raps and everyone was rapping, but he wasn't showing anyone his rhyme. Same sort of thing. Like, I was making my own little tapes and whatnot. And so originally when Clue and I first met, we were playing sports, like, basketball, two-hand touch. And then once we both realized we were both into music, and he was rapping at the time, and then we got together.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah. I might play you something one of our first demos. So once we connected like that and realized we both wanted to do that, we just started like actually. We were selling candy in school. We were working in a flea market, making money. And I would look in the Village Voice. I found out that in the Village Voice, they had like classifieds for studios. Yeah. And we would make this money in a flea market or selling candy. And then my mom used to take us to the studio in Brooklyn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We used to book like the late night sessions because it was cheaper.
Yo.
Yeah.
And just go in there and mess around.
Yeah, and at that time too, like
they had ADATs and stuff like that in there.
No, he had a Fostex 8-track.
Oh, okay,
I never forget.
That was
and he had a British console. It's called a SEC console, and I believe he had a Roland S100 sampler, and I think I feel like the sequencer was either Cakewalk or Dr. T's. I don't know why I remember this shit, but like, but it was like,
it's the gadget in you.
Right, yeah, for sure. And actually the studio was called Brick House Studios. It was in a brownstone. It was in the basement of brownstone. And the owner's name was Carl Sharif. And at that time, like I had my samples and I'd say, this is what I sample. And he would program and everything. Like, so I wasn't even like programming anything.
Wow.
Or I would play him, I'd give him the samples and I'd play him the little like kind of pause tapes that I made.
I was doing the same
right?
thing.
And then he would put it all togetger,
That's dope. Another thing that I liked about the history and where you come from, and you mentioned Low End Theory, was that Q-Tip was the first person I really heard shout out the people behind the scenes on some of those records. So he shouted out, he was like Bob Powers. Like, that was somewhere I had to go research things. You know what I'm saying? When I was young.
Yeah. Tim Latham also, he shouted out.
He definitely did. And you know what was crazy, because some of the newer Clue, Cannon, you know what I'm saying, Gangsta Grizzles, that was patented after that style of shouting out them people that was helping you get there. Right? And everybody, majority of the people out here in mixed records, they always said your name. Mariah said your name. Jay said your name. How important was that for your brand all around the board? I mean, obviously everybody's looking for a tag now, but you were like one of the first so-called producer mix engineers that actually had superstars saying, Duro. It was like, oh shit, who is that?
Right, so outside of Clue, the first person that ever did it was Mace. On the first Clue album.
I did hear Mace.
It's interesting because I never really thought of actually at that point in my career, I never realized or thought about how young I was doing the work that I was doing. Because on the shout out, he says, I thought Duro was an old man before I met him. And honestly, at that point, I might have been, I don't know, like 23. And at that time, the assistant engineers were like 23, 24, 25. And, so it was pretty wild. And again, when you're in it, a lot of times you don't realize. You don't really think about it that way. And as far as a brand, that was never really a focus of mine. I just wanted to be respected by my peers, people that were making, other creatives. So it was, I never really, they're cool, but I never really,
A lot of times, us behind the scenes, and the reason I'm asking about the brand is because behind the scenes, we're heavily creative. And like you said, we want our peers respect. We just want it, Jeezy always has this thing that he told me. He was like, yo, I made music for people in my neighborhood. It got popular. I just wanted to make music for us to hustle to. And it just triple, double, you know what I'm saying? And for us, it was always something like, we want our peers respect. But then you look down the line, maybe 10, 12 years, 15 years, however years you want to take it, and the business doesn't add up to what the brand was then. You know what I mean? So I often ask people if they were trying to do it then in a business set, just to figure out how they got to that point of making money past doing it for the peers.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the only reason I was asking that question, because a lot of times, that was my brand. But what you didn't know was when we went to Mixed Show Power Summit in Puerto Rico, and it was like, oh, there go Duro right there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that helped your brand, that helped people run up on you. And
So I was never in those places.
And I know.
So people would tell you, when, I remember there was a point where people thought that Skane was me.
Bro, that's what I was getting to. I was about to say, because you were a Ghostface Killer at the time.
Yeah, no, because again, generally, unless you came to a studio, you would not have ever seen me.
Right.
And I learned very early on that fame, that type of fame was something that I didn't